Hello, Ted, Marianne. How are you?
Doing just good this morning. Thank you, Elder Mark. How are you?
I'm doing fine. Just been continuously into the word of truth, man.
Yeah, that was a pretty interesting study last night.
Yeah, it really was. And, Yahuwah hasn't stopped opening up my eyes. It's just one thing after another, man.
Yeah.
That's good.
Hi, Phyllis.
I just want to let you know, Lou's going to be watching. Lou's going to be. Hey, let me turn this off. Okay, Lou's going to be watching. He's too tired. I didn't know if I was going to come on, but then I saw Ted's face. And I said, I got to come on. I got to see my friends. I might not stay the whole time, but I have to see you all. Hi, Toria.
Y'all stayed up late last night?
No, we've had some serious problems with our family, mostly with our son, and he's got some demonic issues to deal with, and he doesn't know where his help comes from. And every time we tell him to come back, then he just shuts up, won't talk. But he is getting some help and trying to get some counseling for his depression.
Yeah, I'm sorry to hear that, but thanks for sharing, and we'll all pray for your son and for y'all too.
Thank you.
We should all pray for each other all the time.
We do. We absolutely do. Hey, Yanni and Ro, you look different. Your screen's different.
Hi, Dalian.
Yes, we're on a laptop today.
Oh, okay.
I think I gotta turn off YouTube.
Mm-hmm.
Your faces look blue.
I know I'm trying to get this to work, and we don't use this too often.
Good morning, Toria.
Brother Mark, can I ask you a personal question? You don't have to answer.
Yeah, go ahead.
We love watching you. I was wondering why you hide your face on Sabbath.
I just try to keep the focus off of me and put it on y'all.
That's very good. Thank you. I thought you were so focused off of me and on Yahusha.
Well, and that's the same thing. Yahusha's in y'all. We're all one body in Yahusha. Yeah, we're just trying to focus on Yahusha, not me, and that's the main reason I'm doing that. I just get creepy feelings sometimes. I was on there for 3 hours last night and everybody's looking at me, and now the tension on me here on the next day just kind of creeps me out a little bit. So I just kind of don't want to be looking at myself and focusing on myself.
It is distracting when you see yourself when you're talking.
Yeah, it is.
Yes.
It's a little bit weird sometimes, and you just definitely don't want to start being puffed up or something, and try to stay humble. So that's the only reason I've been doing that lately.
I told Lou that's what I thought. Lou said, we really enjoyed that last night, but we couldn't. I tell you what, we went to bed. We watched about an hour of it in bed and fell asleep.
Yeah, that's a good thing. It gets recorded. We can go back and catch up on it. But yeah, it was very good.
You look better now.
Yeah, I put down a shade.
Oh,
I have a question for you and for Mark. Have you
Go
guys
ahead.
ever heard of Left and Right Ministries?
what?
Left and Right Ministries is
No.
a very young couple that does music
Mm-mm.
and they use the correct names.
Mm.
I don't think I've heard them.
I'll have to
What
write that down.
Yami sent you an email, Mark, with one of the songs.
Okay, cool.
Okay,
Thank
so you can listen to it and let us know if everything's okay with them. You know,
Thank Uh-huh.
he was a regular pastor and he left the church because okay, and they're very new. They're very new, and I think they're also have like played at Parables of the Vineyard, which I think is another type of ministry. And
I used,
since and
I used
since
to I used to follow Parable of the Vineyard.
yeah, and since we know that we're trying to like join all the Natsarim, that's why we send it to see. You know, I know that you've tried at other times, joining more of the Natsarim together.
Ro, can you send that also to Margaret, because she's interested in having some Margaret play.
We
music
posted
played on
that one song on the chat room.
Okay.
But I'll put their website. It's
Okay.
leftandrightministry.com. It's very easy.
And like that kind of clicked a little bit with Lou because they have a new album and you don't have to buy it. It's you can get it for free. It's just throwing it out there, just
Beautiful music.
Yeah.
And their story, they have like a short video that they talk how they came out to do what they're doing.
And how they joined the walk.
Story, in their walk, and it's very beautiful, especially since it's a very young couple.
A very young couple.
Very, very nice. Very refreshing.
Yeah, the one song that I heard from theirs is the one that you posted, Yami and Raul.
Yeah.
They just put Psalm 1.
Yeah, it is
entirety.
Psalm 1.
Yes.
It is Psalm
Right
1.
out of the scriptures to music.
Yes. So that's why I shared it. If we would have seen anything that we would have not.
Shalom, my brothers and sisters.
Shalom.
Diane says shalom to you, brother.
We miss her.
Yeah, she's in a lot of pain. Her hip is bothering her, so she can't sit long. So she's probably laying down resting. I was talking to her yesterday, and she wants to get back on because she's in a lot of pain. I think she goes to the doctor Monday or something, so she can get a handle on what's going on.
Okay.
So we'll hold up in prayer before Yahushua. Anyway.
My eyes hurt me. I got to go do something. I'll watch you all later. I mean, offline. Love you.
Okay.
Bye-bye.
Love you too,
Love
sister.
you.
How do I leave?
Like you said, Brother Mark, that's what we do all the time. We pray for each other because we have no idea what individuals are going through. We live in this fallen universe. We are in these fallen bodies. So when I pray, I just hold everyone up on Zoom at Noon, YouTube family, and those that I can't see that's in other places, and those I can see. And we just pray for each other every day. Because like I said, there's a lot of things changing in the world, and there's stuff that's going on it's puzzling, but we understand what it is. But for someone that don't know, they are puzzled. Later on, if you want to talk about it, I did find out watching this program on the news how they are still doing splicing genes and trying to make copies of people undercover. They're still cloning animals And I have no idea. It's a questionable thing because they're cloning pigs, they're cloning cows, they're cloning dogs, they're cloning horses. And I'm saying, well, what else is they cloning in our food chain that we're eating? We have no idea. That's why we have to pray over our food. We don't ask the Father to supernaturally take everything out of it that's not supposed to be there. So there's a lot going on, and they're doing things behind undercover, I should say. So I just wanted to mention that, but just praying for everyone and just stay together. We have to, this is a fight to the end, spiritual warfare. We don't fight flesh and blood, like Yahusha said. There's principalities, there's darkness. There are a lot of things that's going on. And I'm praying for my brothers. I did send them to Fossilized Customs. I called him to see how he was getting along. And somehow someone said he wanted to shoot his renter, the people that he's renting from. So they wanted him to move. He didn't get a chance to read the book yet. And I said, Satan, you are a liar out of the pit of hell, because when the truth goes forth, he hates it. He started attacking family members, people we know, because that truth is going forth into the world, and he don't like that. Doesn't matter what he likes, he just stir up stuff. He's just causing havoc because the truth is getting to people. So we got to be aware that of our family and friends and stuff, what's going on, and be not surprised, because we know that this is what he does. When truth gets out there and it gets to people he don't want to let go, whether it be a family member or a friend, they start doing things. And if you figure out why, we know why they're doing it. But that's the first thing come to mind, that Satan don't want the truth to go forth. He don't want people to receive the truth. So if they are still under his guidance, so to speak, they're going to do things. And we find out why they do them. But I just wanted to say I love all of you. I'm glad to know you, see you, pray for you every day. You are included in my prayers every day, every morning, all of us. And just love you guys. And ladies, we are not all guys. I have to say ladies, because when I go out, I hate with somebody, when I'm with someone, I'm with a family member, female, they say, hi guys, there's ladies here, you know. So bless y'all. Bless you immensely. May Yahusha keep all of us. And we just stay strong to the end. That's all I got to say right now.
Okay. Anybody else wants to come into the StreamYard, just click on the StreamYard link and you'll come to the back room, and I will see you there and let you in. I'll put it up there one more time. We have 4 openings. Anybody wants to come in, come on in. There's a new person here that is saying, I'm new here, so would like to ask why the moniker Sparking You is Yah. Well, that's my YouTube channel that we did last night. And it's just a hillbilly term, if you will. And sparking you is when somebody's dating you or they're interested in a relationship with you. So they spark you, or they come calling on you, or they want to date you and stuff like that. So sparking you is Yah. Yah wants to have a relationship with you. As a matter of fact, he's interested in marrying you. And so, therefore, the moniker sparking you is Yah. Or you could look at it as the spark inside of you is Yahuwah as well. He is the light of all men. Whichever way you want to look at it's fine with me. It's no big deal. Well, I hope that's sufficient definition for you there. Yahuwah Servant 117. Glad you're here. Thanks for coming. Hope you enjoy yourself. And we're happy to have you among us, especially with you presenting yourself as I am, a child of Yahuwah. It makes you a beloved one of Yahuwah. And we love serving the beloved of Yahuwah on this channel. All right. And we'll get started in about 1 minute, folks. 1 minute. Okie doke. I'm back. We're going to get started now. Anybody who wants to come in, there's 4 openings. Pertaining to last night, if anybody that watched last night is still looking for some clarification, you can turn to John chapter 5 and read 31 through 46 later on. John 5, verse 31 through 46 pertaining to last night's study. All right. So we're back in 1 Corinthians chapter 15. This is called the first fruits chapter. And it's extremely important, and it is power packed beyond most people's perception. I mean, every sentence can almost be elaborated upon. It's just a huge amount of information in this chapter. Anybody want to read chapter 15? Yami, you had your hand up last week. I saw you put your hand up there and you didn't get to read. Would you like to take chapter 15? There's going to be lots of interruptions here on this chapter. It's going to be the heart of our study today.
You'll have to unmute, Yami.
Thank you.
Okay.
First fruits, chapter 15.
Yes.
But brothers, I make known to you the Besorah, which I brought as Besorah to you, which you also did receive, and in which you stand, through which also you are being delivered. If you hold fast that word I brought as Besorah to you, otherwise you have believed in vain. For I delivered to you at the first that which I also received, that Mashiach died for our sins according to the scriptures, and that he was buried, and that he was raised the third yom, according to the writings, and that he was seen by Kepha, then by the 12. After that, he was seen by over 500 brothers at one time, of whom the greater part remain till now. But some have fallen asleep. After that, he was seen by Yaqub, then by all the emissaries. And last of all, he was seen by me also, as if to one born prematurely.
Okay, let's pause right there. Go ahead and mute your mic. Okay, so a lot going on here. So Paul kind of unveils the Besorah of Yahusha for us, or the testimony of Yahusha Mashiach for us. As he said, for I delivered to you at the first at which I also received, the Besorah, or the testimony of Yahusha. The Mashiach died for our sins according to the scriptures. What scriptures? Well, the Tanakh. They didn't have the B-I-B-L-E, or they did not have the King James Version, okay? They just had scrolls and parchments and stuff back then. And what was written on it was the Torah, the prophets, and the writings. So these were what he was referring to when he says scriptures. And that he was buried and that he was resurrected after 3 days, according to the writings. Okay, and then it goes on to mention some eyewitnesses to this event, or to these events, I should say. So, obviously here, we have to realize where Paul is. Okay, he's in Corinth. He's in Corinthians, right into the Corinthians in Corinth. He is among a lot of pagans. He's among a lot of black magic practitioners, people who perform devilish rituals. Okay, and from these, he has obtained some converts, but their minds are mixed up. They're tore up from growing up in this pagan land. Yes, it's true. There are some Israelite or Yehudim converts with them, but by far the majority here is pagan, or from the nations. Okay. So he gives us eyewitnesses being, it's funny he doesn't mention Mary at all, does he? The 3 Marys. He starts off mentioning, he just talks about men. And I don't know if that's because back then women's word wasn't taken seriously. It kind of probably is, because even when Mary ran back and told them, they had to run to see themselves. They just kind of didn't believe what she was saying. And so he was seen by Peter and then the 12, the entire 12, and then by 500 brothers, and then by Yaqub, who was Yahusha's brother, half brother. Okay, so interestingly here, Yahusha's half brother, or I should say brothers, and his relatives thought he was nuts. Remember, you may recall that, and they thought that he done lost his marbles, and they went to get him and bring him home and try to talk him out of saying the things that he was saying. But here, Yaqub actually witnessed the resurrection of Yahusha. And so being his brother becomes a huge eyewitness, and his testimony has a lot of merit because he grew up with this man, right? So a very important eyewitness. Then by all the emissaries, all the followers of the way of Yahuwah. So he appeared to a lot of people. And last of all, Paul. he was seen by him as if one born prematurely. Speaking of born again prematurely, he saw him before he was born again. All right. He was on the road to Damascus. He was going to go up there and get him some more of those Natsarim, drag him back to Jerusalem to be tried in front of the Pharisees and Sadducees. Okay. Obviously, then here, the Ruach will not be mocked. Yahuwah will not be mocked. And the only ones that are going to see life are those who are good. Those who have repented and turned back to Yahuwah. The mockers will not be. Okay. All right. So this pretty much is setting the stage here. And as we go through this, it's going to expose within this assembly of Corinthians here, those who are still being idol worshipers, not believing in the resurrection, being false witnesses and all kinds of stuff. And it's going to get extremely deep, verse by verse. And so we need to really pay attention to this one. Okay, Yami, let's continue on now.
All right, verse 9. For I am the least of the emissaries, who am not worthy to be called an emissary, because I persecuted the assembly of Yahuwah. But by the favor of Yahuwah, I am what I am, and his favor toward me was not in vain. But I labored much more than they all, yet not I, but the favor of Yahuwah with me. Whether then it was I or they, so we proclaimed, and so you believed. And if Mashiach is proclaimed that he has been raised from the dead, how do some among you say that there is no resurrection of the dead? And if there is no resurrection of the dead, then Mashiach has not been raised. And if Mashiach has not been raised, then our proclaiming is empty, and your belief also empty.
Okay, hang on. He's going to continue to elaborate on this. I don't want to get too far ahead. The promise up here is that is the Ruach. Okay, so the promise is the Ruach. We read that in Acts 2, if y'all remember. Let's go to Acts 2:39 real quick, so you can, as a reminder. Acts 2:39. Acts 2:39 says, for the promise is to you and to your children. Now, what promise? Receiving the gift of the Ruach HaKodesh. Okay, so if you back up into 38, and Kepha said to them, repent and let each one of you be immersed in the name of Yeshua Mashiach for the forgiveness of your sins, and you shall receive the gift of the Ruach HaKodesh. For the promise, which is the gift of the Ruach, or the resurrection, if you will, is to you and to your children and to all who are far off, as many as you who are Elohim shall call. Okay, so we can see here now that the promise is the Ruach HaKodesh. And then when you get down here in 10, where it starts talking about favor. But the favor of Yahuwah, I am what I am. By the favor, I am, and his favor toward me was not in vain, but I labored much more than they, yet not I, but the favor of Yahuwah with me. If you recall, Paul had to see a bright light, which actually blinded him in order for him to believe. And so this is suggesting then that his favor is belief. So the favor of Yahuwah is belief, according to what Paul's saying here. Now, in order to try to clarify that, we'll need to go to Ephesians 2:8. We'll flip over to Ephesians 2:8 and 9. It says, for by favor. So there it is. See, for by favor. You have been delivered through belief. Okay. So this favor, you have been delivered through belief, and that not of yourselves. The belief didn't come from you. It is the gift of Yahuwah. He's given us belief as a gift, to believe in the resurrection that we have not seen. Anything we have not seen or understand is belief. So it is the gift of Yahuwah. It is not by works. It's not by anything you can do to receive it, so that no one should boast. So that no one should boast. That's why it's a gift from Yahuwah. Yahuwah is everything. He's all in all. Everything's Yahuwah. And all esteem goes to Yahusha, never to anybody else. Don't forget, we didn't love him. He loved us. We didn't choose him. He chose us. For by favor you have been delivered through belief, and that not of yourselves. You didn't believe by yourself. It is the gift of Yahuwah. It is not by work, so that no one should boast. So if you take that and you take it back over here to 10, it says, by the favor of Yahuwah, I am what I am. And his favor toward me was not in vain. So he didn't give me his favor in vain, but I labored much more than they all. Yet not I, but yet it was not I doing it. Paul saying, it wasn't me, but the favor of Yahuwah with me, see? So Paul's even admitting there that this is not of him, his efforts, it's of Yahuwah, a gift of Yahuwah, including his belief. Is everybody seeing that, or anybody got any questions on that? That's pretty important. Anybody? Okay. And then he says, whether then it was I or they, either Paul or the other emissary, any of the other emissaries. So we proclaimed, and so you believed. So what they proclaimed the favor of Yahuwah and his resurrection from the dead. And so through the favor of Yahuwah again, or his gift to people of the promise through the Ruach, they believed. And if Mashiach proclaimed that he has been raised from the dead, how do some among you say that there is no resurrection of the dead? So the ones that were pushing this agenda, that there was no resurrection of the dead, were the Sadducees. Remember that? The Pharisees believed in the resurrection, but the Sadducees, who had control of the temple during this period, did not believe in the resurrection. That's in Acts 23, 8 and 9, if anybody wants to look that up. And if there is no resurrection of the dead, then Mashiach has not been raised. And the Mashiach has not been raised, and our proclaiming is empty, and your belief also empty. So this is a powerful thought. Okay, so if there is no resurrection, or if Messiah was not resurrected, then we're wasting our time. There's no use for us to be studying scriptures. Just throw it out in the dumpster and let's live our life in the flesh, because that's what our hope is. That's what our endurance is. That's what our belief is in the resurrection. We want to live in a new immortal body. That's the bottom line. So if there's no resurrection, or if Mashiach hasn't been resurrected, we have no hope. Why waste our time? Then scriptures is just a myth. And then we toss it away. Awful weird the Sadducees didn't believe in the resurrection, right? Kind of odd. Then what were they doing? Just loving to esteem themselves? To have men worship and praise in them? That's what they were all about? Must be. They didn't believe in the resurrection and in immortality. So what purpose was it? There was none. It was just self-absorption. They were narcissists. They were wanting to be esteemed by men. That was their whole intention of being a religious leader. You see it? Crazy, isn't it? And we can apply that to a lot of these people today. Actually, we really can. Go ahead, AJ.
Now, the Sadducees, were they the Sadducees? I'm not sure.
Yeah, Sadducees are just religious leaders. It could be either one.
I'm so glad that
like among the Sanhedrin, you had Pharisees and Sadducees. That was just like a panel, or a group of rulers. They consisted of both. The Sanhedrin. It was like a board, ruling board over the temple.
Well, I sure thank Yahushua for favor, because without his favor, I have no idea where I would have been, or if I would have been on the planet. The things I went through in life. And I look back on it, Brother Mark, he brought me through every one of them. And I didn't do it myself. I just thank him to give me understanding, but above all, give me love for the ones that I went through it with, who was doing things. So I love his favor, because it brought all of us out of the death camp of this world, so to speak. Go ahead, brother.
Okay, so let's back up here to 11 and take a closer look at where it says, whether then it was I or they, so we proclaimed and so you believed. Let's take a closer look at that over in Romans 10:9. A lot of us might remember that, but let's refresh that. So go to Romans 10:9. Romans 10:9 through 17. That if you confess with your mouth the Master Yahushua and believe in your heart that Yahuwah has raised him from the dead, you shall be delivered. So here we see now with very strong persuasion here that believing in the resurrection is what gets us delivered. So those that weren't believing in that resurrection, ain't no way they can be delivered. That's our hope. That's our belief that we're going to be resurrected from the dead and given immortality. That's the bottom line. That if you confess with your mouth the Master Yahushua and believe in your heart that Yahuwah has raised him from the dead, you shall be delivered. It's pretty clear. Let's continue with that. For with the heart one believes to righteousness, and one professes with the mouth, as so is delivered, and so is delivered. Because the scripture says, whoever puts his trust in him shall not be put to shame, because there is no distinction between Yehudi and Greek, for the same master of all is rich to all those calling upon him. For everyone who calls on the name of Yahuwah shall be delivered. How then shall they call on him in whom they have not believed? And how shall they believe in him of whom they have not heard? And how shall they hear without one proclaiming? And how shall they proclaim if they are not sent? As it has been written, how pleasant are the feet of those who bring the Basora of peace, who bring the Basora of the good. However, not all obeyed the Basora, for Yashayahu says, Yahuwah, who has believed our report? So then belief comes by hearing, and hearing by the word of Yahuwah. Wow, huh? So that puts a whole new elevated understanding onto what we just read, whether then it was I or they. So we proclaimed and so you believe. Everybody seeing that now? All right. So a little bit of reviewing, but very much needed. We have to put it all together. Let's go ahead and slowly continue there, Yami.
Okay.
14.
Microphone.
It's on.
Okay. 14. No, I already read that. It's 15. And we are also found false witnesses of Yahuwah, because we have witness of Yahuwah that he raised up Mashiach, whom he did not raise up, if then the dead are not raised.
Okay, hang on. You see what he's saying? If you don't believe in the resurrection, everything you're saying means you're a false witness. If the Messiah hasn't been resurrected, if nobody's going to be resurrected, then we're all a bunch of liars.
Mm-hmm.
We're false witnesses. And we're just tricking people for personal gain, perhaps, or to be esteemed by them or worshiped by them ourselves. There's nothing without the resurrection. It's just all falsehood if there's no resurrection. Okay? So I think he's going a roundabout way here with it, but the message is clear. Okay, go ahead, Yami.
Okay, verse 16. For if the dead are not raised, then neither Mashiach has been raised. And if Mashiach has not been raised, your belief is to no purpose. You are still in your sins.
Okay, stop right there. Okay, see that. So that's now he's saying it more clearly. He's telling us that if the Mashiach has not been raised, your belief is to no purpose. You are still in your sins. So you throw it out. If you think the Mashiach has not been raised from the dead, just throw the Tanakh out, everything out, and stop telling people, because you're a false witness if that's true. What you're saying, that the resurrection is not real. See, so that's our hope. That's our belief. That's our endurance to look forward to the day of immortality, the day we are raised from the dead if we have fallen asleep, or changed in a twinkling of an eye if we're still alive at that time. It's unbelievable. See, so you can see here now, just by what's going on in the the energy that Paul's putting into this, that he's dealing with some serious paganism here in this area. These aren't children he's messing with here. These are hardcore pagans doing a lot of bad stuff. They're trying to convert, but their old ways are pulling them back into the pit. Okay? He's having a hard time with them. From the beginning of Corinthians to the end of Corinthians, we see this happening. This is what we've been reading about. Remember? Sexual immorality, idolatry, mocking the memorial of Yahusha's death with gluttony, being a glutton, all kinds of stuff we've been reading about. And the worst thing, perhaps, is division. So by following different men, they were divisive. And this perhaps being the hardest thing that Paul had to deal with these pagans. So we're seeing it now. It's a mess up here in this area. All walked into a hornet's nest, or a demon's den, if you will. And he's dealing with all this stuff. And he's telling them, hey, look, there ain't no resurrection. What's the use in any of this? I'll just leave and we can just all forget about this. If the Messiah hadn't been resurrected, what am I doing this for? I'm wasting my time. And you're going to see him get really, really, really strong toward it here shortly. Okay, so let's go ahead then and continue on, Yami. So these people here, when it says there's no purpose, you are still in your sins, what's that mean? That means they're still a servant of death. They're still serving death and sin, right? So they're going to continue on seeking out the pleasures of the earth, the world, and the lust of the world, and sinning, and then they're going to die, and they're going to be a servant of death forever. That's what he's telling them here. Okay, let's go ahead and go now, Yami.
Then also those who have fallen asleep in Mashiach had perished. If in this life only we have expectation in Mashiach, we are of all men the most wretched.
Why is he saying that? Anybody? Go ahead, AJ.
I guess if Mashiach hasn't been raised and we are going on proclaiming something that didn't happen, then I guess we would be wretched because we wouldn't be telling the truth.
Exactly.
But since he has been raised, then our words is true according to Scripture. That's all I got to say.
Yeah, that's exactly right. Let's keep going, Yami.
But now Mashiach has been raised from the dead and has become the first fruit of those having fallen asleep. For since death is through a man, resurrection of the dead is also through a man. For as all die in Adam, so also shall be made alive in Mashiach. And each in his own order. Mashiach, the first fruits, then those who are of Mashiach at his coming. Then the end, when he delivers up the reign to Yahuwah the Father, when he has brought to nothing all rule and all authority and power. For he has to reign until he has put all enemies under his feet. The last enemy to be brought to nothing is death.
Okay, stop. All right, so let's back up here, okay, to 20. So here we're seeing a difference between woke up and still in the flesh and being resurrected and given an immortal body. Okay. So when it says here, but now Mashiach has been raised from the dead and has become the first fruit of those having fallen asleep. How is it that when he woke Tabitha up from sleep and she was dead, why isn't she the first fruit? Why isn't Lazarus the first fruit, since he woke him up after he laid in the tomb for long enough to start stinking? And he brought him out of the grave. And some other people that he rose from the dead. Go ahead, Tad.
Because they were just woke. They weren't resurrected and given immortal bodies. It was for them to die again.
Yes. So they didn't really die the first time, did they? They were just woke up. So they still had to die again. And then the judgment, right? It had still had to be fulfilled, right? Okay. So what's the difference between being woke up and being resurrected then? How is it that Yahusha is the first fruits of the resurrection? What's go ahead, Toria.
Because he died of his flesh, and men still have our flesh.
Yeah. So he was raised and put on immortality, right?
Yes.
An immortal body. Go ahead, Sandria.
Microphone.
We cannot hear you, Sandria. Sandria, we can't hear you. Yeah. That happened last time. Yeah. Hopefully she can fix that or something. Okay. All right. So I think what we're getting and we still can't hear you, Sandria. Sandra, I think you're going to have to go out and come back in like you did last week. Or was that Bruce doing that? That was Bruce doing that last week. But we can't hear you for some reason. Maybe your mic's off on your phone. Is the mic off on your phone? No? Okay. Well, let me know if you get that fixed. All right. So I think we understand what's going on here. I'd say all this studying is coming around, man. You guys are right spot on in all this stuff, right? And so, yeah. So the ones that are woke, they're woke up in their fleshly body. They still got that. He just brought their fleshly body back up, and they're still walking around in the flesh. Yahushua, when he was resurrected, he put on, when he was woke up, his body was transformed in the wink of an eye into immortality. He put on an immortal body. So he was resurrected. Now he has everlasting life. So resurrection has to do with everlasting life or an immortal body. Being woke up, you're still in the old fleshly body. You're going to have to die again unless Yahuwah preserves you until the judgment or whatever he wants to do at the first resurrection. See what I'm saying? So there's a big difference in that. So he's the first fruit of those having fallen asleep. Because he's the first that has been woken and given immortality, which means he's been resurrected. For since death is through a man, speaking of the first Adam, resurrection of the dead is also through a man, speaking of the second Adam. And so it is through the Messiah's resurrection, we are given back immortal bodies, such Adam and Shua had in the garden. Everybody with me on that? All right. And each in his own order, Mashiach, the first fruit of the resurrection of the dead, and was resurrected, given immortality. Then those who are of Mashiach at his coming, that right there is those who have fallen asleep in Messiah and those who are alive at his second coming. And transformed in the wink of an eye. So this is together those that have fallen asleep and are alive at the time of his second coming together, will be the next to be resurrected and receive their immortal bodies. So Messiah first, and then the first resurrection group, which the Natsarim, I think we've all agreed, is the bride in the higher calling, the first resurrection. The second resurrection happens 1,000 years later. They have to wait another millennium. And then it says 24, then the end, when he delivers up the reign to Yahuwah the Father, when he has brought to nothing all rule and all authority and power. So this here is speaking of the second resurrection group and bringing to nothing the governments and the religions and all their authority and all their power on humans will be wiped out. He has to reign until he has to put all enemies under his feet. So he continues to reign through the millennium reign. Sometime. The last enemy to be brought to nothing will be death. And that's going to be at the end of the age. The flesh and blood cannot inherit the reign of Yahuwah. For he has put all under his feet. Under whose feet? A lot of people say Yahusha, but is that correct? For he has put all under his feet. I think this is talking about Yahuwah. But when he says all are put under him, it is clear that he who put all under him is accepted. Yahuwah. Yahuwah does everything. Now watch this. And when all are made subject to him, then the Son himself. So when all is subject to him, speaking of Yahuwah, then the Son himself, speaking of Yahusha, shall also be subject to him, speaking of Yahuwah, who put all under him, speaking of Yahuwah, in order that Yahuwah be all in all. So what's this saying? This is saying the role of the sonship will be over. And Yahuwah will be full. And everything will be full with him. All right, Yami, let's continue on now. Keep all that in mind.
Okay. Otherwise, what shall they do who are immersed for the dead if the dead are not raised at all? Why indeed are they immersed for the dead? And why do we stand in danger every hour?
Yeah, what does that mean? Anybody know? Yami, you know? Anybody know what that 29 and 30 is talking about? Kind of strangely worded, isn't it? Otherwise, what shall they do who are immersed for the dead if the dead are not raised at all? Why indeed are they immersed for the dead? And what is that? Let's start with that one. What does that mean?
Does it mean that those that don't believe in the resurrection will not be saved at the end?
If the dead are not raised at all, okay? So what shall they do who are immersed for the dead if the dead are not raised at all? So what are you doing? If the dead are not raised at all, if there's no resurrection, and what are you doing? Why are you being immersed for the dead? So what does that mean? Well, that means when we are resurrected in our water immersion, when we go through our water immersion, we are immersed for the dead. We are putting the body to death. We are killing the flesh and leaving it in the watery grave. Are we not?
Yes.
Yeah, we are. And so when we are resurrected, we come up from the watery grave as a new creature. Okay. So what this is saying is, what shall they do who are immersed for the dead? The dead being those who do not have the Ruach or are not being delivered, don't have belief, right? Why are we being immersed? So that we can become alive, right?
Correct.
So we become the living, not the dead. If the dead are not raised at all, why are we doing the water immersion? Why are we going through all that? Then there would be no point in going through that. So he's just saying it in a different way, what he's been saying now for half this chapter. You see what I'm saying? Well, and why do we stand in danger every hour? Danger what? We're standing in danger because we have not died yet. We have not put the flesh off, so we're still in danger of going to the lake of fire. That's what we're in fear of annihilation. Why do we stand in danger every hour then? If there's no such thing as resurrection, which means what? Then there's no deliverance. So why are we fearing? Why don't we just go party and go nuts until we die? Go ahead, Toria.
I was just thinking, I think there's a better understanding if you take the word dead and just put flesh there, and there's a much better understanding.
Okay. Otherwise, what shall they do who are, did you say flesh?
Yeah, like where it says, okay, let me get out.
At all.
Otherwise, what shall they do who are immersed in the flesh? If the dead are not raised at all, indeed are they immersed for the flesh. Why do we stand in danger every day? Like you said, because of the flesh.
Yeah, that could help some people to see it maybe a little bit at a different angle. If that helps y'all, great. But the whole thing here, he's still on a tangent about why would you not believe in the resurrection? Because that's everything. Without belief in the resurrection, what are we doing, man? There's nothing matters. Our water immersion doesn't matter. Our belief doesn't matter. Our knowledge of Yahuwah doesn't matter. Nothing matters. Why are we even proclaiming? Let's just go party and go crazy and seek the pleasures and lusts of the earth until we die. There's no use in doing all this. We're wasting our time if there's no resurrection. That's what Paul's message is. He's saying it in different ways now, just like Toria just came up with another way of saying it. But it all still goes back to the same thing, same message. We all seeing it. No, he's saying it in weird, and those words that he's saying there in 29 and 30, a little bit strange, but that's still what he's saying. He's just trying to say it in a different way. He's off on a tangent. So basically, we stand in danger every hour because we have not died yet, which means we are still subject to annihilation. We have not been judged yet. We have not been delivered yet from the lake of fire either, have we? Have we? No. Go ahead, Toria.
Another example too is when the Messiah said, "Let the dead bury the dead."
Yeah. Exactly. If you die before receiving and getting into the everlasting covenant, then you're dead, man. You're walking dead. You're a zombie. We got 4 slots open here if any of you guys want to come in. I'd love to have you in here. At least fill up the live stream. All right. So I think we beat that up. I think we're all getting that. Unless anybody else has anything to say about it. Anybody? Okay, let's go ahead, Yami. Let's continue on.
I affirm by the boasting in you which I have in Mashiach Yahushua our Master, I die yom by yom.
Okay, what does that mean? Somebody.
I affirm by boasting in you which I have in Messiah, our Master.
Go ahead, Tori.
I feel like it's each day as we separate ourselves from the flesh, we die of our flesh day by day to our Master Yahusha in our belief.
Anybody else? There's some people over in the chat room. Go ahead, AJ.
Yeah, I agree with Tori on that because every day we have to be conscious and aware of not falling into the flesh because death is so hard pressed upon us to go back into darkness, I believe. And we can easily do things or say things or act a certain way that's unbecoming. And we have to ask for forgiveness every day for something. It doesn't have to be a big thing, but a little thing. But it gets others' attention, and they should get our attention on how we present ourselves, so to speak. If we say we are this and we're talking a certain way or acting a certain way or having some type of emotion about someone, something that's not correctly right, then we notice it, we repent, and we move on. But we don't go over that again. So I agree with her in that respect too.
Okay, thanks, AJ and Toria. Okay, here's some of the people in the chat room. Die to yourself. You stake the old man every day. And so, to me, as soon as I read that, the vision in my mind was that we're battling with the flesh every day to keep it in its grave. It's trying to come up and be the walking dead, come out of the grave, right? And we should keep beating it back down into the dirt. And we don't want to let it out of that watery grave. That's the vision that came in my mind when I read that. And so basically, we're having a battle. We're still battling between light and darkness, or good and evil, aren't we? Every single day, we're still battling with that choice, even though we've made our choice. The flesh that made its choice as well, when it chose darkness and wickedness and sin, is battling to get its way every single day. It's trying to get back up out of that grave, and we need to beat it back down into the dust where it belongs, because it's already been judged, right? Flesh and blood cannot be delivered. No way, shape, or form. Okay, so let's see. There's a few more of them up here. Here we go. Here's Rebecca. For otherwise, what will those do who are baptized for the dead? If the dead are not raised at all, why then are they baptized for them? Well, Yahusha was immersed for them, for the dead. Even though they were walking on the earth, they weren't in their graves yet. They ain't fallen asleep. They're still considered dead to Yahuwah. They're the walking dead. Let the dead go bury the dead, right? What will those do who are immersed for the dead? Well, that's why Yahusha was immersed for the dead, the walking dead. If the dead are not raised at all, why then are they immersed for them? There would be no need to be immersed. So when Yahusha was immersed, he didn't have to be immersed to remove his sins. He had no sin. But he was immersed for the dead, for the walking dead, so that they could obtain everlasting life through resurrection of those who fallen asleep, through Mashiach, the first fruits. See it? And so, yeah, that brings up some vital points here. And then we have Shelley says, with what Gibson girl shared, I feel Paul was challenging any belief or disbelief in Mashiach's resurrection, since they believed they were immersing for the dead. Yeah, and walking in the true pattern of Yahusha, they would be being immersed for the dead. Because aren't we, before we're immersed, aren't we the walking dead also? Yeah. So you're being immersed for the dead, man, for sure. But the whole idea is because we believe in the resurrection. Disbelief in the resurrection don't make any sense. There's nothing there. See what I'm saying? So everything we're doing is in vain, and if there's no resurrection, that's what I'm saying. And so there's some good points here too. And yes, Paul was in jeopardy for speaking truth among the pagans. Yeah, he was. He walked into the devil's den, into pagan land, basically. There is no baptism for those who are dead. It must mean physically dead, not spiritually dead. What I'm saying is we cannot immerse ourselves for another one who has already died. No, we can't do that. That's not what this is saying at all. Now, that is what some people believe, but that's not true. We have to work on our own deliverance. We're responsible for our own deliverance, right? Nobody else's. We can't save anybody. And we surely can't immerse ourselves for another one who has already died before they brought into the everlasting covenant. We cannot do that. But with that said, they will be raised on the second resurrection and stand in the white throne of judgment, right? And Yahuwah will judge them by what? Their words and their works. And then he'll decide if he's letting them in or not. See, the difference between the first resurrection and the second resurrection is that the ones that are raised in the first resurrection were judged righteous while they walked the earth. They became a new creature and they were born from above. They were already judged and the mantle came down in their favor. The second resurrection, they have to be judged according to their words and their works. Go ahead, AJ.
Yeah, I was just reading the Gibson girl's statement, I guess. What I am saying is we cannot immerse ourselves for another one who has already died. That I understand. What I'm saying is, from what my understanding is, that is, when we immersed or get immersed, we are immersed for ourselves to receive salvation, coming out of the water, dying to the sins of this world. Nobody else can take the place of immersing. I can't go get immersed for my brothers or my mother, whether she's living or whether she's in the grave. The immersion to me, could be wrong, is the immersion of an individual person that choose to believe in what the word says. I never heard nobody being immersed for, well, it could. Some people probably do that, being immersed for others, but you can't do that. I don't see that. I see us getting immersed for our own salvation. That's what I see and understand as far as I know. Thank you.
Yeah, you're right. And I think that's what we established. And that's what we were talking about. But on the other hand, with Yahusha, he didn't have to be immersed. So why was he immersed for the dead? In order to start the process rolling. That's why Yahusha did it. So we're being immersed in Mashiach, right? In the two-pattern Mashiach. We're imitating him being immersed in Mashiach, and that's why the power's there through the Messiah, not through us. Go ahead, Sandra. Go ahead, Sandra. Can you hear me? Sandra?
Can you hear me?
Yes,
They can't hear me.
I heard you that. I heard
Can
you
you
for a
hear me?
second. Yes. Yeah, we can.
Hello?
Yeah, we're hearing you.
You heard me for a sec? Well, doesn't it say, okay, it says, except a grain of wheat fall to the ground and die, we abide as alone. So when we go into our water immersion, repenting of our sins, we're coming forth up into the body of the Mashiach, which dwells in our body and giving us the power to live the word. So when we go down, we'll coming back up in his image, coming up in his esteem, right?
Yes. Yeah, see, you're exactly right. Spot on with that. But we haven't got that far yet. But we're going to get into what you're talking about right around verse 35 to 40ish. And then we're going to get right into what you're just saying. And you're absolutely right. You're just more advanced than we are. All right. Anybody else? Okay. Just go ahead and continue on then. Yeah, man.
All right, back to verse 31. I affirm by the boasting in you which I have in Mashiach Yahusha, our master, I die yom by yom. If as men do, I have fought with beasts of Ephesus, of what good is it to me? If the
Hold on a minute. Okay, on this 32 here, which says, if as men do, I have fought with beasts of Ephesus. What is that? What is Paul saying there? What's a beast of Ephesus? Is he talking about he was fighting with demons? Is that what he's talking about? Or is he talking about he was fighting with loco men? You know, men that had didn't have any sense, senseless men.
Demons.
Demon, says Rule. How about you, Toria? What do you think?
I say it's both. It's
Okay.
between men and, demonic entities and the forces that are against him he's had to deal as he walked through his walk.
Yeah, I think you're right. Go ahead, Rule.
Could it be demons in the Corinthians and the Corinthians?
Yeah, it could be both senseless men and demons, powers of darkness. That could be maybe this is what inspired Paul to write Ephesians 6. Go ahead, Ted.
Yeah, I was just going to say false prophets, since we do not fight against flesh and blood, false prophets and the rulers of the darkness of this age.
Yeah, Acts 19 is very powerful. It's actually an outline, if you will, of Paul's journey to Ephesus. But Ephesians 6. Go to Ephesians 6 real quick. Okay, and so Ephesians 6:11. We'll start there and go through 12. But Paul's activities in Ephesus here is clearly outlined in the book of Acts by Luke. So if you want to go back to Acts 19 and read, you'll see. But I think this is what inspired Paul to write what he just wrote in to the Corinthians in 12, where he said, because we do not wrestle against flesh and blood, but against principalities, against authorities, against the world rulers of the darkness of this age, against ruach-like entities of wickedness in the heavenlies, demonic forces, in other words. So when he uses the word wrestle, this is implying putting forth quite a bit of energy. Okay. as playing sports through school, when I was young, I know that wrestling was probably the most, it was where I put out the most energy, and was in both participants were like wiped out at the end of those 3 minutes. You know what I'm saying? So you put forth a lot of power, energy, and strength when you wrestle. So it's ironic, kind of interesting here, really, that Paul used the word wrestle against, which kind of implies to me that he was fighting or wrestling, and some wrestling can be fighting in some sort or other against these demonic forces, for sure. But he says that, that we're not wrestling against flesh and blood. So I wonder then if we can apply this word beast to senseless humans, or does it just applying to demons, demonic forces, when he says that? So with that light, has anybody got anything to say on that? Go ahead, AJ.
Just like every day when we go out into this world, we wrestle in different ways with the system we live under, people we live next to, family members that go astray or want confrontation with you, a believer. So yes, we know the system moves in a different direction than Yahuwah's word says. We go against the stream. So we always going to have opposition because of our belief. If you have truth and you're going forth, yes, you're going to run into physical demons sometime. Then you're going to run into people that's verbal demons sometime. So I think Paul had a little bit of everybody coming his way because Satan was on him, because he was on a mission, just like we are on a mission. We have people, demons, that enter our talk and do things, and then they go. So yes, he was dealing with a lot, as we are dealing with a lot. Yes, I believe that. Physical, spiritual. We go against the heavenly high host of these demons in this world is the government. It's people in local government, the government itself, in different stages. Yes, I believe so. Thank you.
Go ahead, Toria.
Okay. It says in 32, if as men do. So it was, I would say that would be, he was saying that the struggles that men fight against, that he has also struggled with. And yes, as AJ said, what Paul was, he had two sides. He had the side of, I'm sorry, Rome. And he had the side of his other family. So he struggled with his, there's a belief there. There's also the law that he struggled with himself, and which we do today. But him more so because he was somebody of importance at the time. So he struggles with those who've seen him as a powerful person, a murderer, but also to believe that that person could be who he is today, as we were once someone else, and now we are a new creature. We have to struggle with those around us to accept who we are, and they boast against us.
Okay. I think, what you guys are saying is correct, but you're expounding on it. You're expanding the context. So to keep it in context, if, as men do, I have fought with beasts at Ephesus. So how men do, they fight with their fists and their arms and their feet and their mouths and stuff. When they fight, right? And so men fight physically like that. So he fought as men do with these beasts at Ephesus, not all over the place. He just saying at Ephesus, he did it. So I think in Acts 19, we see where some of the struggles are more defined, and he even expounds even more through Luke of what you guys are saying too. Okay. And then he says, of what good is it to me? So now he's back on Stacy, still on that same subject of the resurrection. What good is it to me if the dead are not raised? Let us eat and drink, for tomorrow we die. See, she's still on that tangent. Okay. So even though I fought with all these beasts in the Ephesus, what does it matter? If there's not a resurrection, let's fight, let's brawl, let's have sex, let's eat and drink, let's party, let's steal, let's do whatever we want, for tomorrow we die. Because there's no resurrections. He's still on that kick. He's taken to the extreme now. See, so he's kicking it up to the extreme level or the radical level now. See what I'm saying? So we haven't changed context. That's what I'm saying. Okay. He's just using this as another way of saying, even if you're fighting with demons and the government and whatever, other men, senseless men, and you're fighting over because of righteousness' sake, what's it matter? I mean, what are we doing this for if there's no resurrection? It don't even matter. So let's just party on, dude. Just go nuts. So he's just coming at another angle, right? So we've seen him coming at about 4 or 5 different angles now on this resurrection tangent. Everybody with me on it? Okay, let's go, Yami.
All right. Going back to 32. If, as men do, I have fought with beasts of Ephesus, of what good is it to me? If the dead are not raised, let us eat and drink, for tomorrow we die. Do not be led astray. Evil company corrupts good habits. Wake up to soberness righteously, and do not sin, for some do not have the knowledge of Yahuwah. I speak this to you to your shame. But someone might say, how are the dead raised up? And with what body do they come? Senseless one, what you saw is not made alive unless it dies. And as to what you sow, you do not sow the body which is to be, but a bare grain. It might be wheat or some other grain. But Yahuwah gives it a body as he wishes, and to each seed a body of its own.
Okay, hang on. Okay, now, Sandra, this is what you were talking about. And this is very interesting. He's still on the resurrection thing. He's really putting a lot of energy into it.
Okay.
But how are the dead raised up, and with what body did they come? Okay, so he's continuing on. Now he's going to explain the resurrection a little bit more. Senseless one, what you sow is not made alive unless it dies. So it has to die before it can be made alive. Right? Is what he's saying. Before it can be resurrected, it must die. This is what he's saying. Okay? Everybody seeing that? And so before it can be resurrected, it has to die. And as to what you sow, you do not sow the body, which is to be, but a bare grain. Okay, so you're not dying in the ground in order to sow your immortal body, but a bare grain. It might be wheat, or it may be some other grain, such as a tar. And here the wheat and tars come into play, but Yahuwah gives it a body as he wishes. Either a fleshly body or an immortal body, okay, as he wishes, and to each seed a body of its own, whether it be wheat or tar. Everybody saying that? Sandra, this is what you were talking about with your advanced knowledge, do you want to elaborate here? Anything else to say about it, sister?
Yes,
Go ahead.
but I was thinking in Acts when Tertullus was accusing Paul. I think it's in Acts 20 where he was talking about he's of the sect of the Nazarene, teaching some new thing about the resurrection, because he was teaching the resurrection of Yahusha. He was teaching about Yahusha's resurrection. And so this here is correlating with he's just adamantly declaring the resurrection occurred. For someone has opposed the resurrection somewhere within the midst of this body of Corinthians. And he is saying, no, the resurrection is the main thing. If Yahusha had not been resurrected, then we don't have any deliverance from our sins. We're still walking in dead, the walking dead, living in our pleasures, living in our sins.
Thank you for that, Sandra.
I don't know if you heard me.
Yeah, we heard you. Thank you for that. You came in loud
I
and
think
clear.
my phone is acting up.
Yeah, it is, but we heard what you said right there.
I think
At least
I got a bad phone today.
Okay. Okay. William here is saying that baptism for the dead, vicarious baptism or proxy baptism, is religious practice where a living person receives the rite on behalf of a deceased person. This is a false pagan belief. Now, that's kind of like Catholicism, right? Where you can go pay money and take time off of purgatory for their loved ones and stuff like that, or even off your own purgatory. It's nonsense. Okay, and here relating what you're saying there, William, to what Paul's saying here is he wasn't really talking about that. He said, otherwise, what shall they do who are immersed for the dead if the dead are not raised at all? Why indeed are they immersed for the dead? I don't think he's teaching a pagan ritual, or right. He's trying to say that why are we being immersed? We're the dead. You're the walking dead until you're immersed. So why are you bothering being immersed if there's no resurrection? I believe this is what Paul's saying. He's just saying it in Paul's hard to understand.
I took a moment.
Weird ways.
Water in this song.
Okay. See what I'm saying, William? I understand that there was a pagan ritual, but I don't think it's what Paul is talking about here. I don't think so. Rebecca says, truly, Brother William, I believe this is what Paul was using to instruct them about the resurrection. I don't see why he would, Rebecca. I don't see why Paul would use that as an example of why we should believe in the resurrection or not believe in the resurrection. I don't see it. I think we're out of context with this. Okay, that's my opinion. And William says no. But he's definitely alluding to it. He may be. I mean, I don't know. I don't see it in there, but you might be right. I'm not sure why he would allude to a pagan a ritual that somebody can die, kill themselves for the and so somebody else could be resurrected, or immerse themselves, especially that's dying, for somebody else to be resurrected. I don't see where he's saying that, but maybe he is alluding to it. It could be. He's so hard to understand. I'm not saying you're wrong. I'm just saying I don't see it personally. Go ahead, AJ. AJ, go.
Yes, just keeping it in context, where Paul is talking to the Corinthians, the things that he's dealing with the body of believers, and those that didn't those that don't believe in the resurrection, it's a spat going on between believers and unbelievers, some that will have doubts or have questions. And he's telling them, your salvation and all the things that you're doing is nothing without the resurrection. Plain and simple, to the point. Thank you.
Yeah, I think that's the main theme of the conversation myself. But it could be alluding to that, you know. It's a possibility. I'm not saying it's not. Go ahead, Toria.
I'm also thinking of the churches today, teaching once saved, always saved. They go through their week doing as they choose to do. And then one day a week they give their obeisance or whatever you want to call it, what they do, in their belief. And like AJ says, you know, they're still corrupting themselves, but thinking that they're saved because of a resurrection, but not giving their life fully. As like us, we have immersed ourselves and became the new creature, and to stay sober, to stay righteous, and not to transgress. That is what we're to do, not do as the churches do, going back to these things. You know, like it says, that they're drinking, they're doing all these things, and they think it's fine when Scripture specifically says it's not. If that makes any sense.
Is there any way you could say that in a different way, Toria? Can try to say that just in a little different way, come at it at another angle.
I guess, okay, so it says when he says he fought against the beasts of Ephesus, and we do that daily. I believe we do, because we are against the world today. We're against the church because of what we believe. We are persecuted for what we believe because we aren't following the church, and they believe, you know, they all week long they do as they choose, and then when Sunday comes along, they think, you know, they're covered under grace. That's what it feels like to me. It's this grace thing that they think they're covered on when the Messiah comes, just because they believe, you know, but they don't think that you can lose your salvation because they aren't living what it says to be sober, to be righteous, to lead your life according to Torah. And because we have the knowledge of Yahuwah, we choose to be sober, righteous, and not to transgress. We're living under favor. We're seeking favor. We're not living under grace.
Yeah. Okay. So if I'm hearing you right, it's kind of like instead of their hope being for the resurrection, immortality is why they're doing all this. So they're not working in vain, because they're working towards their receive a new body, right? But the other ones, let's say the Christianity or whatever, they're believing more in the rapture type thing.
They are the walking dead, because they aren't giving their full selves to Yahuwah. It's partial, because they think they're covered. Once they're saved, always saved.
Aha. Okay. And so they'll be raptured, even though they're the walking dead. They're going to be raptured, not resurrected type thing.
Right.
And they're also going to go to a place called heaven.
Right.
Right.
So
Yeah.
they are the lukewarm.
Yeah.
Is this the they in 29, Toria? Gibson girl. No.
Otherwise.
Is
Oh,
this
she said that.
it's the they Paul's talking about in verse 29? Is this those who have other ways of thinking about the resurrection? Or is this those that don't believe in the resurrection at all? and they're doing some other weird pagan ritual. Is William hinted?
Because their immersion isn't the same as ours either. They would be the dead immersing the dead. They're the walking dead.
Good. That's good stuff. Yeah, that could be the dead resurrecting the dead, or immersing the dead. Oh, very good. So there's no power in it.
Right.
Not based on the resurrection power. Ooh, that's good stuff, Toria. How about that, Rebecca? Did you hear that? I think that might just cleared all that up for us.
And I think that's why it says we stand in danger every hour, because it's all around us.
Yeah. Yeah, the falsehood's all around us. We're in danger to being sucked into the falsehood. We're surrounded by it. Right?
Yeah. And we have to literally, I mean, all of us go to work, we have to be around it. So we have to die to it each day.
Wow. Good stuff, man. All right. Very good. Thanks, William. Thanks, Rebecca. And thanks, Toria. Some good stuff spoken there. Good truth. Okay. Yummy. Let's roll.
Okay. Verse 39. All flesh is not the same flesh, but there is one flesh of men, and another flesh of beasts, and another of fishes, and another of birds. And there are heavenly bodies and earthly bodies, but the esteem of the heavenly is truly one, and the esteem of the earthly is another. One esteem of the sun, and another esteem of the moon, and another esteem of the stars. For a star differs from star in esteem. So also is the resurrection of the dead. It is sown in corruption, it is raised in incorruption. It is sown in disrespect, it is raised in esteem. It is sown in weakness, it is raised in power. It is sown a physical body, it is raised a ruach-like body. There is a physical body and there is a ruach-like body. And so it has been written, the first man, Adam, became a living being. The last Adam, a life-giving ruach. The ruach-like, however, was not first, but the physical, and afterward the ruach-like. The first man was of the arets, earthy. The second man is the master from heaven. As is the earthy, so also are those who are earthy. And as is the heavenly, so also are those who are heavenly. And as we have borne the likeness of the earthy, we shall also bear the likeness of the heavenly.
Okay, stop right there. And somebody want to elaborate on that? She just read. Anybody want to elaborate on this a little bit? It speaks of different esteem for the stars, the moon, and the sun, earthly bodies, heavenly body. Earthly, heavenly is truly one, and esteem of the earthly is another. And not all flesh is the same. The flesh of animals and beasts and fish are different than the flesh of man. Go ahead and elaborate on all that, AJ.
Thank you. I might need some help, but from what I'm gathering, it's showing a difference between set apartness and those that are walking in darkness. I do know some religions out here in the world believe we came from the ocean, This is where the mermaid thing came in at. That we came from the ocean, dropped our fins, and started walking. A fish can't be human because it's a different type of flesh. For that, just for that. As far as individuals are concerned, when we are in the world dead in our trespasses and sins, I do understand the first Adam was of the earth. We all come from that first Adam. When we are immersed, when we give ourselves to Yahusha first by confession, we are different once we are immersed and make the confession of faith, immersed, brought out of the water. We have some of that life-giving spirit that Yahushua and Yahuwah came to give us by believing in his son. So I can't go through all of it, but those are little things that I picked out, that I see the difference in contrasting between human, beasts, and animals in different things. Somebody else can probably pick up on the other part of that, will be helpful. Thank you.
Somebody else want to help AJ out? Go ahead, Toria.
I see all esteem in all things were of Yahuwah's. But then you see the corruption was from the fall of the flesh to all things. And through the fall, we all have incorruption through Yahusha. That's it.
Okay, anybody else? So the first Adam and the second Adam is the two patterns that we are following, right? So the first man of the earth, the earthly man, is the first Adam, and we're following him in the flesh through his falling state. And we've become sin, and we are serving sin and death through the first Adam. And then through the second man, and the second Adam, who is master from heaven, which is Yahuwah, through following him now and through his true pattern, Messiah, we are following life. And we are serving righteousness. And so, which leads us into the hope of the resurrection and receiving our immortal bodies. So we're leaving the true pattern of the first Adam, and we're now following the pattern of the second Adam, which is the Mashiach. I think up here above here, I mean, I don't know if I elaborate on what you're saying there, AJ. If not, let me know. But I think I really loved what you said when you were mentioning the evolution theory, that all flesh is not the same. So how can we come from a fish out of the ocean, out of an amoeba or something? How can we come out of an ape if the animal flesh is different than human flesh? How can there be a separation in the flesh if that's true? So common sense would tell us it can't be. So we can't come from a fish or from an ape, from a monkey, right? Because our flesh is different than theirs. So that makes no sense then. Okay. Did I elaborate on what you was asking for help with, AJ? If not, tell it to me again.
Yes, you did. You elaborated on it because a lot of that is going around too. And it has been around before I even came to Yahusha. I heard of these things. And it's part of the evolution of the darkness, the dark spirit in mankind that refused to believe in Yah's word, his Tanakh, his covenant, his instruction. So if you don't believe in his word, he gives you up to a base mind to believe whatever. You might believe a piece of plastic came from a human or something of the sort. So it's just the degraded mind of human man that refused to believe in the Father's word and his path for living. That we war against, not physically. They want to war with us physically, but we speak spiritual things, and the Father takes care of us when we speak his word forth. He'll slew or lay them down, and they don't even know they're being laid down before it even happened. That's the key of one of the fights that we have. And there's really no sweat involved, just prayer, and we watch the Father work. I was in certain other movements when I was younger. Islam was one of them until I found out it wasn't the way. I would call myself a Christian for many years, and I found out it was close, but it wasn't it, because they still believe in paganistic things that Yahuwah denounced in his word that we ought not to believe or mess with, but we didn't know. We were brought up into lies. This whole system of Hashatan is a lie, and we finding that out. And people are upset about it because we say things, but if they humble their hearts and read carefully and stop following ignorant men and follow Yahusha, they will be better off. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you, AJ. William says, in Genesis 7:15, and they went back into the ark to Noah 2 by 2 of all flesh, in which is the ruach of life. And then he says, but there is one kind through the breath of Yahuwah, but different. And I think what William's saying here is can be assessed in Ecclesiastes 3:19. And it says, for the circumstance of the sons of men is also the circumstance of beasts. And that's true that we all breathe the breath of Yahuwah. Yahuwah sustains all things, right? One circumstance befalls them. As one dies, so dies the other. Indeed, they all have one breath. This is what's William's saying here. Man has no advantage over beasts, for all is futile. All are going to one place. All came from the dust, and all return to the dust. So although we come from the same place from dust, we're going to all return to dust. We all breathe this one breath given by the life giver, Yahuwah, his breath of life, but yet we're all have different flesh. You see? And so that means that this evolution theory has been debunked right here, right now. Right, William? Well, I'm catching your, picking up what you're laying down there, brother. Okay. Hi, Cato. Glad you're here, man. We still got room in the StreamYard if anybody wants to come on. More than welcome to come in here with us. I'll put up the StreamYard again. I don't know what happened to Colin. Got knocked off or something or had to leave. Okay. So I think we did a good job on assessing that. And thank you, AJ and Toria and William. Let's continue on then, Yami.
All right. Verse 50. And this I say, brothers, that flesh and blood is unable to inherit the reign of Yahuwah, neither does corruption inherit incorruption. See, I speak a secret to you. We shall not all sleep, but we shall all be changed in a moment, in the twinkling of an eye, at the last trumpet. For the trumpet shall sound, and the dead shall be raised incorruptible, and we shall be changed. For this corruptible has to put on incorruption, and this mortal to put on immortality. And when this corruptible has put on incorruption, and this mortal has put on immortality, then shall come to be the word that has been written. Death is swallowed up in overcoming. O death, where is your sting? Grave, where is your overcoming? And the sting of death is the sin, and the power of the sin is the Torah. But thanks to Yahuwah who gives us the overcoming through our Master, Yahushua Mashiach.
Okay, hang on. Can somebody explain to us what this means in 56? And the sting of death is the sin, and the power of the sin is the Torah. What in the world does that mean? Can anybody tell us? So it's saying that basically here, when it says, and the sting of death is the sin, is saying death possesses authority over sin, right? Death reigns over sin, in other words, is what it's basically saying. The sting of death is the sin, although death possesses authority over sin. Go ahead, Toria.
It says, yes, death, the sting of the death is transgression, the flesh that was put on the body from the beginning. The power of the transgression is the Torah. The power, because of the Torah, being love, overcomes the flesh and the transgression, overcoming through the blood that was shed of our Mashiach, Yahusha, which he did by dying of the flesh, which was the transgression from the beginning.
Okay, Toria. So can I say, is it safe to say that the power of the sin is the Torah, because the Torah identifies sinners, points out who sinners are, those who are sinning. In other words, the Torah is a witness against us.
Yes.
It becomes a witness against us on the day of judgment.
Beautifully said.
Okay. Is anybody seeing that? Or has anybody got any questions?
Because to me, the sting, they say, oh, sting, where is your, death or whatever. To me, the sting, that like Hashatan, he is put upon us for the transgression was the flesh. So when we die, that flesh is gone. Where's that sting? It's gone. We're in Ruach.
Yeah, the sin's been removed. So there's no sting there, right? And then since there's no sin left or no sting, then death possesses no power or authority over us any further. Because death doesn't have authority over us. it possesses authority over sin. So if the sin's taken away, if the sting's taken away, then oh death, where is your sting? What, you have no, where's your authority over sin? There's no sin there. So where's your sting? Grave, where's your overcoming? The death only has power over sin, not the flood, not the human, not the being, but the sin. If Yahusha takes away the sin, then death loses his authority over us, and we can be resurrected because now we're sinless. That's the reason why Mashiach was resurrected, was it not? Because he was sinless, and death had no authority over him because he was an innocent man. He was falsely accused and falsely executed. He was innocent. So death had no authority over him because he had no sin. Death only possesses authority over sin, the sting of death. See it?
And there's no death for us anymore. We have eternity.
Right. Because the sin's been removed by the blood of Yahusha. All right. Everybody seen that? Go ahead, Tad.
I just wanted to add a little bit. I'm not remembering where it exactly says that, but it says without Torah, there is no sin, because it points the way to, what sin is. It shows us what sin is, that it's lawlessness.
Yeah, it does say that. Says something like, I did not know sin except through the Torah, right? Or I did not know covenant until I received the instructions, right? And but so Torah points out sin to us and makes us aware of all the sins that man can commit. But it also, since we know, we receive that knowledge of sin and what sin is through the Torah, then the Torah points out our sins and becomes a witness against us, because the Torah is powerless to save or deliver. It can't deliver us. It can only be a witness against us, right? Because we break one, we break them all. So the only chance we have then is to have our sins removed by the blood of the Lamb. Other than that, the Torah is going to convict. We're going to be a witness against us, and we're going to get convicted on Judgment Day and annihilated, sent to the lake of fire, or thrown into the outer darkness, where there will be weeping and gnashing of the teeth, folks. Anybody else got any thoughts on that? That's powerful stuff right there. Anybody? Go ahead, Ted.
Not only is it a witness against us, but it's also our instruction on how to not do that until Yahusha comes.
Okay, so the Torah, until Yahusha comes, is our taskmaster, right? Is that the taskmaster? Our teacher? Can we graduate and be freed from the Torah before Yahusha comes? Is that possible? Yes. What's the completion of the Torah? What's the completion of the study of the class of the Torah?
One word: love.
There it is. So once we learn to love others and love Yahuwah as ourselves, we've graduated from the Torah. That was the lesson of the Torah. It teaches how to love others and love Yahuwah as ourselves. And if you get really good at it, you'll love others and Yahuwah more than yourself. That's possible to achieve as well. You put yourself beneath everyone, get to the back of the line. Now you're getting somewhere. If we begin to hate people and be dissatisfied with our maker and husband and things like that, this is apostasy. We're falling back into transgression again. What do we do? What should we do if that happens to us? Anybody? Apostasy. We're falling. Got to turn off YouTube, brother. Cato. Go ahead, Tad.
Another one word, repent.
There you go, man. Great. Good stuff. Very, very good, Tad. Keep it simple, stupid, right? One word solutions. Anybody else, Toria?
No, that was an accident.
Okay. All righty, Yami, let's finish off 15, sister.
Okay. Therefore, my beloved brothers, be steadfast, immovable, always excelling in the work of the master, knowing that your labor is not in vain in the master.
Why is that? Why do we know that our labor is not in vain in the master? What tells us that? There's a one-word answer too. Do you know it?
Obedience?
Obedience.
Obedience?
No?
The
Love.
promise.
Love, obedience.
The promise of love.
No? What has he been talking about this whole chapter? Go ahead, AJ.
Stand fast in what we received, knowing that his resurrection is not in vain, but is life for us. And we're to go forward in him because he gives us the strength.
Okay. I'm still looking for that one-word answer. Go ahead, Rule. You're muted, brother.
Well, what I was gathering is that the whole chapter really is about obedience.
What has his tangent been on? He's been on a tangent for about 3/4 of this chapter.
Resurrection.
There you go.
Ah.
Done. So does that make sense now? Therefore, my beloved brothers, be steadfast, immovable, always excelling in the work of the master, knowing, because your work is not in vain, right? Knowing that your labor is not in vain in the Messiah, the master, because of what? Because he's been resurrected, and so will we be. That's our reward. That's what our hope is. That's what we're looking forward to. That's our endurance. We want to be resurrected because he was resurrected as proof that we can be resurrected, so our work's not in vain. It's all about the resurrection here. First fruits. That's why they call it the chapter First Fruits. Okay? First fruits, Yahushua Mashiach, and then those who have fallen asleep in the Mashiach and are still alive at his second coming. And then thirdly, the second resurrection. People will be resurrected. Everybody will be resurrected and judged whether they're a sheep or a goat. Whether they come into everlasting eternity or if they go and get thrown, annihilated into the lake of fire. Okay. Chapter 15. Powerful, powerful stuff, man. We read in there that some people denied that Yahushua rose from the dead. Others felt that people would not physically or literally be resurrected, that it was more metaphoric. But the Messiah's resurrection assures us that we will have new immortal bodies someday. It's plain and clear. The hope of the resurrection supports our belief in our endurance. So since we will be raised again to eternal life after we die or fall asleep, our life is not lived in vain. Our work is not in vain. We must stay trustworthy to Yahuwah while we are mortal and remain in his service. We should live out our lives knowing we will spend eternity with Yahushua together as his one body. All right. Anybody got anything else to say about chapter 15? Go, Tad.
One more word just to cover what you were just saying. Endurance.
There it is. We're going to start calling you the one-word man. All right. Very good study. I think we came to a great understanding of this chapter. It's a hard chapter, but I think we conquered it, and we're able to receive insight from the Ruach, which gave us the knowledge of Yahuwah here. So it's wonderful, wonderful study here on this one. Okay, reader for chapter 16. We're going to conclude 1 Corinthians now. Go, Tad.
Got to find the unmute button there. Okay, beginning in chapter 16. And concerning the collections for the Kodashim, or the set apart ones, you are to do as I gave orders to the assemblies of Galatia. On the first yom of the week, let each one of you set aside, storing up whatever he is prospered, so that there are no collections when I come. And when I come, whomever you approve by your letters, I shall send to bear your gift to Jerusalem. And if it is fitting for me to go, they shall go with me. And I shall come to you when I pass through Macedonia, for I am passing through Macedonia. And possibly I shall stay with you, or even spend the winter, so that you send me forward wherever I go. For I do not wish to see you now on the way, but I expect to stay a while with you, if the master permits. And I shall remain in Ephesus until the festival of weeks, Shabuah. For a great and effective door has opened to me, and many are opposing. And if Timothy comes, see that he is with you without fear, for he does the work of the master, even as I. Therefore, let no one despise him, and send him forward in peace, so that he comes to me, for I am waiting for him with the brothers. And concerning our brother Apollos, I strongly urged him to come to you with the brothers, but he had no desire at all to come at this time. However, he shall come when it is convenient. Watch, stand fast in the belief, be men, be strong. Let all that you do be done in love. And I urge you, brothers, you know the household of Stephanas, that it is the first fruit of Achaia, and that they have assigned themselves for service to the Kodashim, that you also be subject to such, and to everyone who works and labors with us.
Okay, hold on. All right. And so now there's been some people here in this assembly that's accused Paul of having a different agenda and why he's doing what he's doing. And they're accusing it that he's taken off the top some money or gifts, whatever, that was being sent to Jerusalem. So he's a shyster. Okay. And he's coming and taking the money or the gifts, whatever it is, food that's supposed to be going to Jerusalem, and he's skimming off the top. It's his real motivation. And they're even questioning Paul's authority to be an emissary, and so forth and so forth. So Paul is confronting this as we've been reading through here. And he's explaining to them why he's doing what he's doing. Okay, he's not doing what they're accusing him of doing. So again, he's dealing with pagans, converted pagans, and pagans mixed in there too. That's not really converted yet. And then of course Ephesus here that he mentions, that he's going to remain there until the festival weeks, is proof that he's observing the appointed times again, but also we need to realize that this Ephesus is a central hub of demonic worship and activity. It's the main place for black magic. Okay. And we'll get into that once we get into the book of Ephesians. But just so that you know that, that's what's going on. And they are one of the 7 assemblies of Asia Minor, where the throne of Hashatan is. Don't forget that. Okay. So we can see here now that Paul is dealing with really bad stuff, man. He's involved. He's surrounded, encompassed with the works of Satan and his demons. Go ahead, Tad.
Oh, you answered my question. I was just going to ask if that was where the throne of Hashatan was in Ephesus, and you covered that. Thank you.
Yeah, that's back in Revelations 2. And back in Revelations 2 and 3 is where you can read and come to the understanding that these 7 assemblies that are pointed out in Asia Minor are corrupt. They are of Hashatan. They're the assembly of Hashatan. Okay. They were assemblies of Yahusha, but they were overtaken by Satan and his demons and have become the assembly of Hashatan now. But there are still some believers mixed in there with them. Go ahead, Tad.
I was just going to expand on that, and we know that they were the assemblies of Hashatan because there's not 7 assemblies, there's only one. Has the body of Mashiach been divided? No.
Yeah, exactly. And so the assembly is the body of Yahuwah. And so this is where the visions came from, by the way, was in those 7 assemblies. That's where it all started. All the divisiveness began there, and it grew to what we see today, man. It's everywhere now, right? Anybody else got anything on that? Go ahead, AJ.
Not so much as that, but I just wanted to say shalom to the Natsarim Project and bless you. Glad to have you with us always.
Shalom.
And collections. You know, one of the things we learned coming up, these collections, is a big deal in the mainstream religious buildings. And what I find, the set apart ones and those that were immersed or believed in the Messiah, Yahushua HaMashiach, they didn't get any help from the government. At all, because they hated Yahushua, they hated his followers, so they didn't get any help at all. The collections going back even when Yahushua was walking with them, the collections went towards the widows, orphan children, and those who had need. Not building a doggone rocket ship, not building an airplane so they could fly over here and take a mixed message. Fleecing the flock. And some of this thinking when they was talking about him getting the collections and doing whatever, that's only because they were doing it. Those that didn't have a pure heart towards Yahushua, because we have to understand this process is a learned phenomenon. We've been indoctrinated since children, lied to. And that's one of the biggest things in the building is this 10% of your hard-earned money. Oh, don't pay your light bill. Just pray and ask the J-Man. He will help you get your lights cut back on. Yeah, give us. We want to have us a plane. We want to fly over here and give the word. People are starving. People are hungry. Light bills are going up. I don't want to get on a tangent on this, but when I saw collections, that hit me because I was indoctrinated with that, giving my 10%. So I guess some of those felt like he was going to take the money and do what he wanted to do with it because they were doing the same thing undercover, so to speak. But Paul had a mission. He wasn't doing that. It was for travel. He worked. He had jobs wherever he went. He said, I work with my own hands so I wouldn't be a burden on the brothers, on the assembly. I don't know how I got to that point, but it just hit me because I hate that so much with a passion. Ripping people off for their 10%, suckering them in. But that's all I got to say.
In reference to skimming off the top, yeah, it's modern day. That's what they're doing. It's the same thing, really. Yeah, nothing new.
I'm done, Bird Mark. I'm sorry.
Yeah. Okay. Anybody else got anything to say about that? Okay. Rebecca is asking a question here before we move on here. The word used in verse 2 is a Sabbaton. Was Paul telling them to lay up and store on the first week count of Feast of Weeks? No. I think what this is really talking about here is that there was a famine in the land of Israel, and especially around Jerusalem, where there was a lot of people concentrated. There wasn't enough food. And so what they were doing were they wanted to help. So Paul was saying, look, I don't want to come there and have to deal with this collection thing. Just get it all together after the Shabbat on the first day. Everybody bring all their stuff that you want to send and to help out the Israelites in Jerusalem. Get it stored into one place. So when I get there, I don't want to have to fool with this. And then pick some men to take your offerings to help the people who are starving from the famine in Jerusalem and take it to them. And if there's a reason I have to go there, then y'all can go with me when I leave. Okay. And then later down here in 8, and I shall remain in Ephesus until the festival week. So he's not planning on going to Jerusalem, but he is once the festival of weeks comes, or Shabuath comes, then he wants to go back, of course, because that's one of the 3 migration feasts that is commanded by Yahuwah for all men 20 and over to go there 3 times a year. So I think that's what this is. I don't think this was something they were doing on a weekly basis. This was just because of the situation that was happening at that particular time. There was a famine in the land of Israel. Go ahead, Tad.
This is just a guess in my opinion, but I see him having those men go with him as not only a help to bring the food, but also a witness, so that they would know that he's not stealing like he was accused of.
Yeah, I mean, that's a possibility, but he's not planning on going. Yeah, he says, whomever you approve by your letters, I shall send to bear your gift to Jerusalem. And if it is fitting for me to go, they shall go with me. So he's saying, if I have to go, or if there's a reason for me to go, then they can go with me. But he's planning on staying there down in verse 8 until the Festival of Weeks comes. So he's going to send those people that they've identified, wrote their names in the letter when they returned his letter. and name these people that are going to be the bearers of the gifts to Jerusalem because of the famine that was going on there. But Paul was not planning on going, but if he had to go, he would, and he would just take them with him if he had to go. But he didn't. He stayed there. We know that. Okay, Acts 19, we know that. All right. So he didn't go. Okay. So this is not a tithing, weekly tithe like the Christians do. This was a one-time deal. They may have done it again, who knows? But the purpose of this, chapter 16, was to help those out that were starving to death in Jerusalem because of the famine at that particular time. And so what were they sending? Money? No, they were sending food, man. That's what they were sending to them because there was a famine going on. So they were collecting food to take to those starving in Jerusalem. That's what was going on here. Anybody else got any thoughts on that? Okay, let's jump back over here then to 16. Up here where it says 14, I guess. Or 15. And I urge you, brothers, you know the household of Stephanus, that it is the first fruits of Achaia, and that they have assigned themselves for service to the Kadasha. Okay, so the first fruits assigned themselves. What does that mean? They got a spiritual job. They have spiritual gifts. They may have spiritual fruits. They may have spiritual job to do in order to do what? To serve the body. They're serving the body now. They're the body members. They become the servants. The body members are above the ones with the jobs. Remember that? Okay, that you also be subject to such and to everyone who works and labors with us. See, the laborers, the body, are more important than the ones with the assigned jobs or gifts. The assigned jobs and gifts are only for what? To serve the body with. They're servants of the body. That means they're lower than the body members, the laborers, because they're servants of the body. It's only to serve and upbuild the body. That's what these gifts are for. See that? So the body is the laborers, the workers, and the workers are of the body or of the harvest. The laborers are more important. They're ahead of the ones with the jobs and the spiritual gifts because they're there to serve the body with Yahuwah has given them. But we all know that it's not the men doing it, it's Yahuwah doing it, right? It's always Yahuwah doing it. It's never the man. It's him in the man. Okay, Tad, go ahead and let's read through it some more now.
Okay, starting back at verse 17. And I rejoice about the coming of Stephanas and Fortunatus and Achaeus, for what was lacking on your part, they supplied. For they refreshed my ruach and yours. Therefore give recognition to such ones. The assemblies of Asia greet you. Aculas and Priscilla greet you heartily in the master, with the assembly that is in their house.
Okay, hold on. All right. For some weird reason, and some of you may have heard this before, but there's actually some denominations out there teaching that Aquilius and Priscilla are the wives of Paul. Okay. Well, this is totally false. They're in error. Okay. Aquilius is a man. He's not a woman. And Priscilla is his wife. Okay. So if you've ever heard that, or if somebody ever brings that up to you, you know that this is not true. Okay. And all we have to do is go to Acts. Turn to Acts 18. And this is where Paul first meets them. Is in Acts 18. And chapter 18, Acts 18:2. And he found a certain Yehudai named Aquila, born in Pontus, who had recently come from Italy with his Asha Priscilla. So there you go. That proves there that Aquila is not a woman like they try to say that he is. And then, of course, they were all three tent makers. And Paul actually stayed with Aquilus and Priscilla for a year and a half. And they made tents and supported themselves while they held assemblies at their home. And living right next door to them was Titus, who also let people into his house. And they also assembled there and studied scripture in Titus's house. Okay, so that was what's going on right there for about a year and a half. Okay, just wanted to bring that up because there are people out there that try to tell you that those were Paul's wives. That's incredibly wrong. Easy to debunk. Okay, go ahead.
Okay, picking back up at verse 20. All the brothers greet you. Greet one another with a set-apart kiss. The greeting with my own hand, Paul. If anyone does not love the Master, Yahushua Mashiach, let him be accursed, or anathema. Maranatha. And this says it is the Aramaic for the Master comes. The favor of our Master, Yahushua Mashiach, be with you. My love be with you all in Mashiach Yahushua. Amen.
All right. So that brings us to the end of 1 Corinthians. And so next week we'll be going into 2 Corinthians. All right. Okay. So with that note, let's open it up. It's wide open for conversation, questions, current events, whatever y'all want to talk about. And it doesn't have to be addressed at me. You can ask anybody up here in the StreamYard if you got questions for anybody, or just talk whatever you want to talk about. Today's lesson, last week's lesson, whatever. But I'd just like to say here real quick before I open it up to you guys, that the summary of what we have studied here in 1 Corinthians is really, if you think about it, is unity and order. Right? Unity and order, the divisiveness, okay, the going off, following other men, the divisions, and in order, doing everything decently and in order, not in being gluttons and everything like that, you know. So this is what this whole thing was about. He had a mess on his hands. The pagans were backsliding. They were going crazy. They were going back into their pagan ways. And he had to go there, write them a letter, and then go there and teach them unity and order and how to live a righteous life in Mashiach. So his message to them was live what they believe. Live by belief, by what you believe and have been taught, the Besorah of Yahushua. Live by it. Don't just talk about it, but you have to live it out, right? Live it. And then he spoke to them about the proper meaning and use of spiritual gifts. He spoke to them about the women's role in the assembly and their conduct. He identified the problems that they were having there with their sliding back into paganism, mostly about idolatry and sexual immorality. And he talked to them about mocking the death of Yahushua by being a glutton. So instead of breaking the bread, this is my body, drinking the wine, this is my blood, right? They were wanting to eat the whole meal. Man, they want to eat the whole body. They just want to gobble him up and be a glutton about it, right? And he told me, you're doing this all wrong. This is not what this is about. Let me explain to you what this means. And then he warned them, if you haven't repented of your sins, you better not be celebrating the death of Yahushua, basically, right? Examine yourself. Make sure you're of the way, of the belief before you even do it. Because if you have not repented properly, if you're not in the everlasting covenant, you shouldn't be doing this at all. You're going to be in big trouble. So knock it off. Okay. If you want to eat a big meal, eat it at home. It's not what this isn't about eating and drinking here. Okay. And then I think the main thing that he was trying to drive home with these Corinthians was don't be divisive. There's only one body, one Ruach, one Torah, one Yahuwah. Stop dividing. Stop following. I want to follow this guy. I want to follow that guy. This guy's a better teacher. I'm going to go listen to him. This guy, this guy, that. Has the Mashiach been divided? What are you guys doing? It's not about men. It's about Yahusha. It's all about Yahusha. So he spoke to them, I think, mainly about division was a huge problem as well. Okay, so that I think that pretty much wraps it up and gives us a little bit of a summary here about this letter. Powerful letter, man. He power packed this letter. So much stuff, man. He put in this letter to these Corinthians. But with all this correction and pointing out all the things they were doing wrong, he upset them, and they were really very highly upset. And so then he had to write them the second letter to let them know that he loved them and cool down the environment, chill them out, and explain to them in a different way, about what they should be doing. And so we're going to get into that next week. Okay, that's it. It's open for anybody who wants to talk. Go ahead. Go ahead, AJ.
Yeah, I just want to say I always look forward to our meeting and our fellowship in seeking the truth. Loving the brothers and sisters, knowing that there are more out there that are being called out of the traditionalized religious mess in this world. I like to say also, I learned how to keep my eyes on Yahushua, not a man. And I even tell people that I meet along the way that I'm here to share. I can't make you grow. I can't give you understanding. I can't give you nothing but to love you as a person, to share truth, because that's all we do. We share, try to build up when necessary, love when necessary, be kind all the time as possible. Never take our walk for granted. And be sober-minded when we're doing things to help and love one another. There's so much chaos in the world. That's why love created this world in us first. Love saved us for, I would say, busting hell wide open, as it were, when he picked me. Because I felt as though I was the least that what the Father wanted. I felt as though I need to obtain some type of degree or to be somebody in society. But come to find out, most of the people in society, they are people, but they're nobody without Yahusha. They have no love. They have no respect. They don't care about family. They don't care about their wives. They don't care about their children. All they care about is money, self-gain, and want to sit on some type of pedestal that one of the legs are sawed halfway off. So when they put their full weight on it, it falls down. I'm so glad that Yahushua saved me where I can express myself in a different way than I was born with. It's so nice to walk in a building and know it wasn't built haphazardly. As my brother Lou said, if you walk into a building and you know it was missing some rivets over here, or was missing a structure over here to hold the foundation up, it was missing this part to hold the building up, and you know this person, and you know he doesn't build right, why would you walk into that building? Doesn't have to be a structural church building. It just could be anything. You wouldn't walk in there because it would collapse. Our belief in our faith is very important to the Creator because He sent His Son down here on this earth to save us. Not only saying it to who I see, saying it to those that's in the StreamYard, those that I can't see. Stay on track with the one that can give you life, not the one that can give you death. A man can give you death, the wrong man, but the right man from up above will give you life. If we stay with him, stay with his word, and be humble in our heart and just trust him. That's what I had to say to the body because I have to leave now. I just love you all. I pray for you all in my prayers every day. Those that I can see and those that I can't see, those that I don't know and those that I do know. The Father loves you. Yahushua loves you. That's why we're here. Bless you. Bless you. And I'll see you later, Brother Martin. Thank you for everything. I love y'all.
Thank you, AJ. See you next week, bro.
Okay.
Okay, so yeah, Shelly here mentioned resurrection. That was 15 was all about today. So yeah, a lot of this stuff here is what Paul was talking about, and I forgot about resurrections. I'm glad you put that there, Sherry. Yeah, so yeah, what a powerful letter it really was, man. But they're all going to be powerful, and like I said, they all collaborate with Acts, one way or the other. As we go through them, you'll notice the collaboration with the study we had on Acts, with all these individual letters going out to these individual places. But remember, although there's many assemblies, there's only one body. So there's really not many assemblies. There's only one assembly. All right. You got to remember that. Yeah, but I left that resurrection out, Shelly, so I appreciate it, man. So anybody else got anything they want to talk about? Anything come to mind? How about you, Cato? You're usually good for at least a question or two.
I know. I'm kind of drawing a blank. This is Heather, by the way.
Nice to meet everybody. Appreciate it.
Yeah.
Nice to meet you.
Pretty normal. Go about it.
Yeah, I'm glad to see you with us, man.
Shalom, Sister Heather.
Shalom, family. Thank you.
So that's like
appreciate
$25
it.
a year.
Wait, what did you say? I said,
I'm kidding.
So there's a subscription service. I think he was being facetious about the lesson we were commenting on. Got to pay to get in. It's not that kind of payments. Oh man, I do appreciate it. We're talking about how blessed we are to just be able to gather and be able to be together and be around family, and how nice it is to just gather, be allowed to. So yeah, it's beautiful to always be around family. I appreciate always being able to delve into the word. Yeah. He's doing a ZT.
I'm surprised he doesn't have a hard question to stun us all with. Like he,
Oh, you want one of
I'm
those?
sure he
Oh, I
does.
got it. All right.
I have the same reaction as you do sometimes. Like, what? What'd you say? What's that?
The snake in, was it Exodus, or the snake that you look upon to be healed, was kind of a comparison to like what kind of massacre it took to have someone innocent, where everyone knows he's innocent, be murdered, is like equally as serpent like seated, and it's just a statement on humanity. So I don't know what the question would be about it, but it's just funny how looking at a serpent would heal, and I don't know, looking upon the serpent, I don't know.
Yeah, I think it's a type or a shadow, really, was its main purpose. Of course, they had went over or migrated to some area that was full of poisonous snakes, and so a lot of the people were getting bitten, and the kids and stuff, and they were dying, right? And so Yahuwah told Moses or Aaron, where it was, to make that stake with a snake on it, and if they got bit, they'd come and look at the serpent on the snake, and it would heal them.
Yeah.
Okay, so this is a type or a shadow of Yahusha.
Mhm.
And so these people were dying, and then Yahusha resurrects you, right? And the people would be bitten by the poison or the snake bite, if you will, of the serpent, the devil, whatever, drink wormwood, would look upon Yahusha and be healed, right? So he delivers and he heals us of our afflictions or of our sin. When he delivers us, he's healing us, because we have a disease called sin that's going to kill us. And he removes the sin, he heals us, right? And so they began, after he did this shadow of Yahusha, the children of Israel began to worship the serpent on the snake like an idol. And they turned it into a god, and they started paying homage to it, right? He said, that's enough of this. You guys are idiots. Get rid of it, right? Now you're committing idolatry. You're not getting it, what the symbolism of it is, right? Why I did this for you, to save you from death, from the poison of the serpent, right? Or the wormwood of the devil. See the shadow? And so, then Yahusha, he reflects on that somewhere in the Natsarim Writings. I can't remember where it's at. I think in John, but where he collaborates that with him as the serpent in the desert was on a pole. The son of Adam has to be put on a pole, as well, like the serpent was. So see, he shows that was a type or shadow of him, is what he's saying there. See what I'm saying?
Yeah,
I think that's goes along with the golden calf type thing too. Both of them kind of go together a little bit. But that's what I think about the serpent on the pole.
Good old Nimrod.
Anybody got anything to add to that or expound on?
Did you ever hear anything about, like, when water immersion occurs, you have to have someone like John the Baptist in the water with you? Like, no, right? But I have heard that from people. So just
that somebody has to lay down in the bathtub.
No, that you need someone like prophetic,
like
someone
a
with
rabbi
high authority
or
something.
Oh, no, you can self-immerse. Paul
Oh, right. Yeah.
self-immersed.
That's right, I forgot.
You don't. There's a lot of messengers and even Yahuwah's there watching you. You don't have to worry about witnesses.
Oh, really?
You just got to understand what you're doing.
Mm.
If you're just going underwater and you don't know what's happening, it's not going to do you any good. You got to understand the process and the meaning behind your water immersion, and even your immersion in the Ruach HaKodesh. Go ahead, Ted.
I was just going to say that some people, if they've been immersed and they're having a hard time receiving the Ruach HaKodesh, that it has been, I believe, has been suggested that they might have an elder lay hands on them to help with that process, but it's not a something that you have to do.
Requirement.
Yeah, not a requirement. Am I off base there, Mark, or am I somewhere in the ballpark?
No, I think you're right. Yeah, you can have anybody there you want. It doesn't matter who's all there. You can have as many people there as you want or nobody. It don't matter. But it's not them that's repenting, okay, and have a change of mind. It's you. So you have to one that has to call on the name of Yahusha for deliverance yourself. You have to do all the repenting, the confessing, and the mercying, on your own, man. Everybody's responsible for their own deliverance. We can't deliver anybody. Nobody can deliver us. We're all responsible for ourselves. We have to take responsibility for ourselves. What was that?
Oh, I said do the work. We're responsible to do the work.
The main thing is to understand what you're doing.
Right.
and have you confessed and repented with a repenter's heart, or are you just trying to pull the wool over Yahuwah's eyes? Depends on what's in your heart. Can't fool Yahuwah. Go ahead, Arua.
When Yami and I got immersed, the whole fellowship was there, but we kind of felt afterwards that it would have been better if it would have been us and just the elder, I guess you could call, because there was kind of distraction and it was harder, we thought it would be more a personal thing, you understand, than everybody watching us. So we plan to re-immerse.
Yeah, re-immersion's good. I mean, I think that you can re-immerse until you get it right. You know what I mean? I don't see any gain in going out and immersing and not knowing what you're doing myself. But we need to get it right, Have you been water immersed? Oh, yeah. So I remember you saying you haven't gotten water immersed yet. Yeah, you understand what the immersion is and then get water immersed as soon as possible would be my suggestion. And I would do it in a lake or a river or the ocean or something, I'm not in disagreement that you can do it in a hot tub or a bathtub or something, or swimming pool or a baptism, whatever they call it. You know what I'm saying? But my whole thing is being totally immersed.
No,
You can be totally in the water. You can't have your knees and shoulders or head out. You got to go totally under.
Mikvah is.
I would think it would need to be in living water.
I'm really leaning towards you should be living water myself.
Living water, that is better the ocean.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Ocean, the lake, moving water, nothing that's stagnant.
Exactly. Moving water.
Moving water, yeah. That's what I feel too. I mean, that's my preference. Let's just put it that way. And then, of course, there's other people.
Wonderful.
No, but you're not immersed. You got to go under.
I know, but going under, yeah. if there is a swimming hole or something.
Well, yeah, that doesn't keep us from, not doing it if there's, for some reason, not availability to have those things. Or I feel like that's the sentiment you were getting at, right?
I think so. Availability has a lot to do with it. If you're in prison and there's not a moving water there, or if you're a crippled person, you can't get out of bed. I'm sure Yahuwah understands these exceptions, but I'm just speaking in generalizing it. That I prefer, like Toria said, living water, and I like to see people go all the way down to the bottom and lay there and think about what's happening, and then come up being washed with leaving the dead body in the grave, burying yourself. You're dying with Mashiach. Come up out of the water. You get immersed cleansed with the water and the blood. And as soon as you break the water and you come up out of that water, now you're resurrected in the true pattern of Yahushua. You've been resurrected and you're reborn. You're born again with the water and the ruach, and you become a new creature. And
I was looking for it.
No longer the fleshly man anymore. Now you're a spiritual being. You're the son of light. Your father is Yahuwah. You have a heavenly father, spiritual father now. No longer have a earthly father, because you died in the water he gave you. Grave. You left your body down there. That's the whole thing. Set apartness. Now a spiritual creature. You're no longer a flesh and blood creature. Flesh and blood creature can't inherit the reign of Yahuwah. It's worthless to you. You have to become a spiritual creature in the reign, right? Because you got to put off the old flesh. Now you're prepared to put on your new body. If you're in your old body, how can you put on a new body on top of your old body? You can't. You got to take it off. You got to disrobe yourself with the flesh, like Yahuwah did. Or Yahuwah did, I mean.
A witness isn't frowned upon, though.
Huh?
So you say you don't need the 2 or 3 witnesses?
You got more than that, buddy.
You got the sun, the moon, the stars, your Abba Yahuwah.
Oh, yeah.
You have all things.
You got Yahusha, you got Yahuwah, you got all the messengers watching you. You got an army of Melikim watching you, witnessing. You're not doing it alone.
We're not limited to man's world.
Yeah, you're right. You set yourself apart from the fleshly world. I mean, if you want to have your wife and brother and mother or some witnesses with you, there's nothing wrong with that either, man. You know what I mean? You can do that too. But they can't talk for you. You have to do all the talking. And you got to remember that you got to do it in the name of Yahusha too. That's huge. Can't leave out in the name of Yahusha, right? So when you say in the name of Yahusha, then you're submitting yourself to his power, and you're entering into his true pattern, which is death, burial, and resurrection. This is what we're talking about today. You can't forget about the resurrection. That's our hope. That's our endurance. That's our everything. That's why we're doing this, for the promise of the resurrection. Without that, why are we here, man? We all want to live forever, right? And so that means a resurrection has to happen. A transformation has to occur. We have to be given a different body, because flesh and blood can't live forever. And we separate ourselves from the flesh and blood. We can't take it with us. So get rid of it. Leave it in the watery grave. Get cleaned up. Prepare yourself for your new body. That's what we're doing. Then we walk in the Ruach and in the truth from now on, until we fall asleep or Yahushua comes back, second coming. Go ahead, Todd.
I just wanted to say what a great teaching this was today, and that I enjoyed meeting you, Heather, and seeing all of the other Kodashim. I've got to take off too, but I want you all have a wonderful rest of your Shabbat, and just remember that it's all about Yahusha on this day and drawing closer to him and having that, time to rest with him. He gave us that day. He set it apart. So bless you all. And Brother Mark, you as well. Toria, Yami, and Rule, William, y'all have a great day.
See you next week, Tad. Okay, so now we have Yahuwah, Servant 117. I guess this is for you, Kodo. I couldn't wait to be immersed in Yahusha HaMashiach, so I immersed myself in a running river creek. My witnesses were several unknowing humans. My Yahuwah, Yahusha, and all the angels. So it sounds like he had both. He had some humans there. He didn't even know who they were watching him. I wonder if Yahuwah put them there on purpose. Interesting. Thanks for that, Yahuwah Servant 117.
Could have been messengers unaware.
Heck, good point, man. I didn't even think of that. Could have been a couple messengers there. They were unaware that they were messengers, Malachim, in the flesh. Absolutely. Very good, Toria. All right, so I don't see any more questions up here on the chat room. Anybody got anything else they want to say? How about you, William? You've been awful quiet today.
Yeah, Copeland needs a new $8 million jet, and Papa needs a pair of brand new shoes. That's about all I got to say.
I just need a brand new pair of roller skates.
There you go.
Yeah, unbelievable.
So are we going to do 2 Corinthians next?
Yeah, we'll go on into 2 Corinthians now and just go through them all till we get to Revelations. We already did Revelation. You were with us when we did Revelation. Yeah. And then we did Acts. And so once we go through all of these Pauline epistles, then the only thing we have left is Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John. And we've covered the entire Natsarim writings.
Very.
Well, it's good to see you guys again. Always.
You too. I think we're going to wrap her up, man. We've been on for 3 hours now. Are you out in California? Kato, you in California? Oh, yeah, you're in LA.
Yep. Yes.
Yep.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I'm sorry.
Nice
sorry
days.
about that. Sorry about that, guys. I left California a year and a half ago.
Yeah. No, I don't blame you. I can't wait to get out. Just figure out an avenue.
He's on an exit strategy.
Escape from LA is a movie.
Mm.
Yeah, a lot to think about when you live out here. It's like you see it just slowly degenerating. Slowly.
Oh yeah, I was born in LA.
Yeah, me too. Yeah.
And then we slowly moved away, and ended up in the high desert.
Not bad.
Yeah, and then moved out to Texas.
In there.
A lot of opportunities to be a witness, though.
Oh yeah.
That's what I like. Don't want to turn into a lot photo finish though. Yeah.
Definitely a good teaching again, Mark. Amazing as usual.
Yes. All honor, glory, and praises always.
Oh, Yahuwah uses you in amazing ways that just open my mind.
Right.
Always to Yahusha.
Yeah, for sure.
What's up, Raw?
I just wanted to thank everybody that shares their ruach with us, the
Mhm.
newbies,
Well
Yes.
said.
so we can learn.
I don't know if I consider you a newbie anymore.
Oh,
You've been around for a while now. We're going to have to start making you
okay. Let's say that we're in first grade.
in first grade. I think they're at least up to like junior
Eat
high.
a little solid food, but still getting the milk.
Yeah, we enjoy our Sabbath with you guys.
Oh, me too.
We don't do anything else on our Sabbath except enjoy the fellowship that we have with you.
Yep.
Mhm.
It
Yeah,
is
that's what
absolutely
I
beautiful.
enjoy it too. Yeah.
It's a very lonely week until the Shabbat.
Yes,
Exactly.
it is.
We
Yeah.
do appreciate very much Lou and his fossilized customs classes because we learn a lot. And,
Yeah.
and like you guys said, all esteem to Yahuwah for giving you guys the knowledge to share with us.
Yeah, don't forget about Lou White Live on 4th day, 11 o'clock, right, Real?
Yeah.
1 p.m.
1
Oh,
p.m.
1 p.m.
It's so sad that it's so early, you know, when you work.
It's 1 p.m. now on 4th day.
4th day, yes.
Kind of hard for some people that got to work and stuff like that, you know,
Yeah.
but I think the intent was to try to catch you around lunchtime
Yep.
for him. But don't forget, if you can attend, he always has a lot of insight on those meetings.
And sometimes we veer off a little bit off the fossilized custom and we talk about a lot of things. I mean, it's not only fossilized custom.
Awesome.
Yeah, awesome.
Yeah, definitely.
And don't forget, since you brought that up, Earl, everybody, let's try to pray for each other every day. And if we can all do a special intercessory prayer for Brother Lou and Sister Phyllis's family.
His family.
Yes.
His family.
And hopefully
We kind of pray for the world.
Yeah.
And we should pray for our leaders and all that. So
no agreement with them, but we still pray for them.
Because even in their last breath, there could be a chance of deliverance.
Absolutely. As long as they're breathing, there's a chance.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. But I appreciate all of you coming, and I really look forward to it every week. You know, really do. You can just feel the ruach, you know, and his illumination, his presence, you know, and hear his voice speaking through each one of us. It's magnificent.
Well, for me, this is the only thing that makes sense in my walk is this. Everything else is just a stumbling block in the world.
Right.
Oh yeah, that sounds like you, Steve.
Go ahead, William.
Priestly prayer.
Yeah, you want to do it for us, brother?
Yes, sir.
Thank you. I'll see everybody.
Thank you.
Thanks for coming.
Yahuwah bless you and guard you. Yahuwah make his face shine upon you and show favor to you. Yahuwah lift up his face upon you and give you shalom. Thus they shall put my name on the children of Yisrael, and I myself shall bless them. Baruch haba Hashem.
Yahuwah.
Yes.
Hallelujah. So be it.
Love all of you. Peace and love. Next week.
Peace and love, Mishpachah.
Bye. We love you.
Bye, guys.
Love you guys.
Be strong in the week.
Yes.
On me.
What time is it actually? Barak has his Hebrew class today.